What's up everybody, AnimeX here, and in this video I'll be doing another analysis video because why not? And due to you guys voting and choosing Sasori as the next character to analyze, here I am analyzing Sasori, the puppet master of the Sand Village. And now, if you guys do want to have an impact on who gets analyzed next, make sure to be watchful of the community tab after this video drops, and I'll leave a link to my Twitter and my Instagram down below because that's where I'll be holding polls as well. Now, with all that stuff out of the way, it's time to jump right into Sasori's character, breaking it down into key parts like my previous videos. Now, let me just say this as a quick disclaimer. If you think Sasori is a very shallow character and has no depth, just sit tight, grab your bag of popcorn and watch this video because I do have a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get started. When we look at Sasori initially, we see him with his Haruko shell, the first impression to Sasori, and this is the first thing that we imagine Sasori looking like. We see that Sasori in this form gives off an uncanny feeling of deadliness and lethality that comes from his face being from someone that would look dangerous to most people, and that in tandem with the tail that resembles that of a scorpion tail would basically give off the look, like it says, it gives off a very lethal feeling, like it could attack and kill you at any second. As I'll get into later in this video, we see that this is the shallowest form of Sasori as we dive deeper into the character design in tandem with his personality and themes. Sasori's next form is a form that resembles a normal human, and it's a form that not only lowers the guard of the characters within the series while surprising them, it also makes the viewer perceive Sasori as not only less intimidating as a presence, but it also makes the viewer assume that Sasori isn't really a threat anymore, which we see isn't true based off of how the fight goes when Sasori sheds his Haruko shell. The way it goes about this is very simple. Make the puppet master, the one who is supposed to look crazy strong, basically be a crazy strong member of the Akatsuki, a child, or at least someone who looks like it. The innocent face, the somewhat ragged hair, and the blank stare from his face makes Sasori seem weak, or at least no longer intimidating. This reveals to the viewer a theme that shows up in many stories in anime, that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and this is also a setup for Sasori's final form. When he reveals his true self by removing the Akatsuki cloak, we see that he himself not only controls puppets, but he himself is one. This form of Sasori does have an intimidation factor that, in my personal opinion, surpasses all of the previous forms for a multitude of reasons. For one, when we first see this form of Sasori, we perceive him as an immortal due to us realizing that he himself is a puppet and he can regenerate and basically pull himself back together from nearly all attacks that he faces. We also see the bloodlust and the malice that this form of Sasori exudes, which functions to strike fear in the heart of the viewers and characters alike. I personally think that Sasori's character design is one of the most unique and interesting due to the puppet aesthetic. I also think that puppets and other things like that are perceived as inherently creepy, and as such, making Sasori himself one with a face of malice like this does function to make the viewer wary and put them back on guard when seeing this form, almost saying buckle your seatbelts because this is about to get real. Now, just thinking about it, Sasori is basically an emo Pinocchio, at least in terms of concept and his design, but I digress. Nonetheless, Sasori is a very scary character in terms of a design, and in terms of the themes and kind of ideology or philosophy that he has within his mind. And as we'll see through the backstory, that Sasori basically has a very good reason to be emo and scary, as we'll get into right now. Now, there's a common theme between people that are evil, especially in the Akatsuki. It's basically people who've lost everything and really started their path to the Akatsuki through conflict and war. Sasori is no different. Due to his parents being ninjas, Sasori would never get to spend that much time with them, and he would end up losing his parents forever due to them dying, or more specifically being killed by Sakumu Hatake, Kakashi's father, and the man known as the White Fang from every other village besides Leaf. And immediately we have a seed reasoning for one of Sasori's character traits already being shown just through Sasori's starting years in this world we know as Earth. After the death of his parents, Chiyo took Sasori in and taught him the only real skill that she could really pass down, being her puppeteering skills. Sasori was shown to be adept at puppeteering and was even able to make puppets of his own, basically the first two of them being his parents in puppet form. After he does this, he realizes that after a little bit, these are mere puppets and they aren't things that can give him love that he yearns for so much. Keep that part in mind because we will be coming back to the idea when I analyze him as a character, but after this moment in realization, Sasori becomes cold, distant, and observant, similar to a puppet. Sasori started making puppets as he was using them in battle, and due to how much blood was spilled whenever his puppets were on the battlefield, Sasori earned the name Sasori of the Red Sand. After these events, through something changed within Sasori. His desires changed. He yearned for the art of eternity, something that many humans, along with many Naruto characters, seem to strive for. The way he thought to do this? Use humans, use corpses, and turn them into puppets that can stand the test of time and last forever, holding up his ideology. Sasori, after turning many people into puppets, and what he considered eternal works of art, decided to turn himself into a puppet, immortalizing himself, only leaving a shred of humanity within the core of him, which, keep in mind again, this is something that we'll be touching on later. After transforming, Sasori came back and attacked the third Kazekage, killing him and making him his own personal puppet, his ace in the hole. After this, Sasori joins the Akatsuki and decides to stay with them, having Orochimaru be his teammate, and during this time, he basically becomes loyal to the Akatsuki and stays that way until he eventually is betrayed by Orochimaru, having Deidara on his side, who, as I'll get into later, Deidara and Sasori's personalities and their views on art and life as a whole do change, but basically he stays this way for the most part until he dies, eventually by his own creations. Now, Sasori is a very interesting character to really dig into because initially I just saw him as the name of Pinocchio, like I said before. But when looking deeper and more seriously into his character and really digging deep, you find a lot of subtle trauma and real life issues that even people watching this video may be dealing with, whether that be nihilism, masochism, and the feeling of tininess and insignificance that comes with being a mortal human being, which leads me into the intro into Sasori's philosophy. All of Sasori's real development came from war and death of his parents. This leads him to learn his passion and talent through the use of puppeteering and having a mastery of controlling puppets. Now, the first thing that I will dive into is probably the most obvious thing, which is his weird fascination with puppets. He has a talent for them, and for Sasori, these puppets, these lifeless dolls, not only give Sasori an outlet for his emotions, giving him a creativity outlet, but it also represents a constant within his life. Something with no set expiration date like humans, something that wasn't destined to die like mortals, like human beings. It is something that Sasori can always rely on for multiple reasons. It won't up and just die like his parents did, and in the unlikely event that it does end up being destroyed or dismantled in some way, shape, or form, he can make a new one, or fix it. Unlike a human, puppets aren't fragile. They are also never dying, and also unlike humans, and family specifically, they can be replaced. His parents would never be replaced, or at least, so Sasori thinks. For Sasori, puppets basically represented everything that his parents that died weren't. Puppets were always there for him, but Sasori then stumbles upon an idea. Why not combine two things that he yearned for and wanted in his life? Immortal, never leaving, always loving parents. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Sasori himself could tell you what could go wrong. When you try to replicate family, at least in the way that Sasori tried to, when you try to replicate the miracle of life with your own two hands, nothing good could come from it. Sasori realizes this the hard way. He can't get his parents back, no matter how hard he tries. No matter how many puppets he builds, he can't bring back the love and affection that his mother and father would have for him. At least, so Sasori thinks. Just like the rest of the Akatsuki, Sasori's foundation is basically the foundation of his philosophy is built upon lies, false beliefs, and half-truths. At best, it would be half-truths. Sasori's idea of life and humans is built upon a half-truth, in my opinion. He is right. He can't bring back his parents. Not in the way that he wants to, at least. He can't bring back the love that his parents gave him. At least not in the way he wants. Sasori knows as well as anybody that trying is futile. But the reason this is a half-truth is due to him being able to have and replicate the love that his parents showed to him. His grandmother, even though at the time she may have seemed distant and hadn't really expressed her love, it's probably because she was expressing it as well as possible, seeing as how Chiyo hadn't really changed yet. And we know that Chiyo had the capacity for love within her own heart due to the many things that she says and does within her time within the series. We even see that she tries to connect with Sasori and tries to help him by using puppets as an outlet for him. Sasori could have tried to bring that love and affection out of her heart and basically brought it into his own. And Sasori could have replicated that same love he himself desiring by learning to love and learning that by giving love to people, he would be receiving love back in return. This is the false belief that Sasori has. He can't have love because only his parents could give it to him. This also leads to a complete lie that he believes in, or as well, at least from my perspective, it's a false belief that Sasori develops later in the series. Sasori's false belief, in my opinion, is that basically art is something that lasts the test of time and never dies. It never decays and it will never be lost to time. This idea is shown by Sasori turning himself along with other humans into puppets, immortalizing not only himself but the people around him within his own worldview and within his own art. The idea of art is something that Datara and Sasori disagreed on all the time, but me personally, I would say if I had to pick one of the two, I would side with more Datara in terms of my opinion on art and when I see that as a representative of life and its purpose. But I digress. I'll deal with Datara in his own video. Anyways, Sasori deals with themes, like I said, of nihilism, and by this, I don't think that Sasori has no moral basis from which he makes decisions on and acts. I think Sasori does have things and basically reasonings for basically whatever he decides to do, but I do think that to some extent, Sasori doesn't believe that life has meaning besides living forever, meaning that Sasori, of course, wants to live forever. He wishes to be immortal. That is his one wish, the one thing that he bases his life upon. This not only ties into what I was talking about before, but it displays that Sasori is becoming the antithesis to what a human being is. And more specifically, he was becoming the opposite to what his parents were to Sasori. His parents, along with humans in general, are mortal. They are capable of loving, and in fact, for the most part, are all full of love, and they're love that they're freely able to give. They are also able to live life to the fullest, knowing full well that life is only life when it has an end. Sasori is cold, nearly undying, unlovable in his own eyes, and basically incapable of love until his death, or at least incapable of feeling love until his death. This shows the duality between Sasori, the human transformed into a puppet, being consumed by the one thing that meant to alleviate him from his pain and suffering, and the duality between that and real humans, people that are able to love, people that are able to die, and actually have an actual life. When you really take a deep dive into Sasori's character, it is, in all honesty and truly, sad. Sasori was someone who yearned for something that humans have, for a while, wanted, which is eternal life. But just like many people in fiction and reality, he fails to realize that a life where it can't end is not a life at all. It is a mere collection of experiences. Life can only exist within the confines of death. They are two sides of the same coin, and by trying to have an eternal life, Sasori sealed his fate, and basically confirmed that he would not have a life until he decided to allow himself to die. Just as there can't be truth without lies, or darkness without light, there cannot be life without death. Sasori realizes this, although, unfortunately, like many other Akatsuki members, he only finds out this error in his ways and in his philosophy at the end of his life, when he is attacked. In the end, Sasori displays human emotions, showing them that even in the end, and even as someone who transformed themselves into a puppet, seemingly a cold, lifeless thing, the last shred of humanity left within him was represented by the vulnerable point on his body, and it was something that he held on to even till his last breath. This shows how Sasori saw his humanity, or at least the last bit of it that he had. To him, at first, it was a weakness, a vulnerable spot, a chink in his armor. This is the human part of him from the perspective of Sasori initially. After his confrontations with Sakura and Granny Chiyo, he has a change in perspective in the face of his own puppets, the first two that he created, his parents. And it is through his parents that he sees the changes in perspective, and his perspective finally changes. He, for a split second of humanity and pure emotion, sees his humanity as a gift and as a blessing in disguise. This not only keeps Sasori tethered to humanity, but it also allows him to finally live through the sweet release of death. Sasori finally, at the end of his life, got what he yearned for in his death. He decided to stop fighting, stop putting up the facade of life, and truly live through dying in a bittersweet embrace of his parents. Ironically, the ones who created him are the ones who essentially resulted in his defeat. They helped create Sasori's life by birthing him, and they helped recover Sasori's lost life by killing him, completing the cycle of life and completing the cycle of love. Now, here's the part where I usually give my own take on Sasori's idea on the world and beliefs which he lives by, and I have already implied my thought through the analysis part of the video, but I don't think that, I guess to make it more clear, I don't think that the search for eternity, or something standing the test of time forever, is the path to art or the path to happiness to me personally, or really is anything that should be seeked or sought after in life. While I do think things in relationships can be determined by how long they've stood the test of time, wear and tear, and general happenings of life, I don't think that longevity decides anything in the grand scheme of this large, scary, mysterious thing that we call life. My personal belief is that life can only exist within death's confines, and eternity is a concept that eliminates the concept of life. I think life is determined by feats within your lifetime, not by knowing how long your lifetime is or flexing that you're immortal or you're eternal. Because if you have all the time in the world, why move forward now? What's your motivation to do anything ever? You could just do it later. With eternity comes stagnation, and without motivation we become stagnant and complacent. Complacency stunts growth, and without growth we can't move forward and evolve as a race. And I don't know about you guys, but a life without growth and evolution and development seems pretty boring to me. Now, if you want my take on how I see eternal life and that type of things, to shorten a very long philosophical debate that could probably go on between me and the comment section for a very long time, I'll say this. I think that growth and development and evolution are very important to humans as a whole, even if you don't believe in evolution as a concept, right? What I mean so much more is basically the growth and the evolution of you as a person. Your emotional state, your mental state, your physical state, whatever state you happen to be focused on at that moment needs to grow and it needs to evolve. Without that, life becomes boring. It becomes meaningless. And like I've said so many times, a life without death can't be called life at all. And that, everybody, is all I have to say about Sasori, a surprisingly deep character and someone that is, in all honesty, a very sad person to analyze, as he has a tragic story that needs to be analyzed, in my opinion, someone that needs to get a little bit more credit for their depth in writing. Now, through this series of analyzing characters, I'm realizing that as I go further and further, I'm realizing that Kishimoto is more and more of a genius as I go through. That's just my personal opinion, and I'll give my opinion of the Akatsuki as a whole in a finale video, but I still have a lot more Akatsuki members to go through. We have Deidara, we have Obito, we have Pain. The Pain video, I'm just telling you guys now, it's going to be like a 30, maybe 40-minute video. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to hit the like button, show your support, share the video, that type of thing. I saw in the comment sections earlier, though, before making this video, that Sasori is boring, and he doesn't have any character. And I hope that me making a 15-minute plus video can contradict that. And I hope that if you watch this video, that you truly do understand Sasori more as a character. And if you have criticisms on my analysis, I'm curious to hear it, because I am trying to work on my ability to analyze my favorite characters, my favorite series, and that thing as a whole. Now, after this video comes out, I'm going to post a poll in my community tab poll to basically see who I should analyze next. So be on the lookout for that, as well as my Twitter polls and Instagram polls. So I'll leave a link to my Twitter and my Instagram and even my Discord down below for more communication between all of us, so we can stay a very tight-knit community. I'll also link my Patreon in case you guys are interested in supporting me in an even greater way than you already do. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you understand Sasori a little bit better than you did originally before coming into this video. And with that said, I'm going to close this video out. So, as always guys, this is Anime X, hoping you think Sasori is a deeper character now. Signing off.